The Hog's Eye is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of thehogsty.com.
By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome to the Hog Style, ladies and gentlemen. It's DC's leading source for all things Redskins and the NFL. It's been a long off-season, and it's been a pleasure to spend it with you. But I'm also very glad it's over, and for the fact that the next time we talk to you, we'll have a little Redskins football to talk about. But in the meantime, we got more training camp reports and some other Redskins news. I got my good friends Steve Thomas and Alex Zeese around the mics with me tonight. How are you gentlemen doing?
I love Hogstyle late night. It's my favorite thing.
Too.
We're recording this Hogstyle late night this time. I can't lie and say it's the most pleasant thing to do.
No. Well, Steve, you and I are both morning people, so yeah. I think we would rather do Hogstyle 4 a.m. than Hogstyle late night.
This isn't the worst we've had, though. I think we did one at about 1 o'clock in the morning 2 years ago.
Oh, that was definitely the worst. And that was after, like, a big win, too.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a Sunday night game before a Thursday game, I think is what we ended up doing. I think is what it was.
Yeah.
So a lot of things we used to do that I look back on, and I'm just like, why on earth did we ever do things that way?
It's because I was the dummy who was insisting, hey, we got to get the show done.
Pump that show out.
Oh,
exactly.
Well, it's fine.
It'll come back around. You guys know. We're about to enter into the grind of the season.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we are. Yep.
So it's always a big ramble.
Saturday morning shows. It's going to be all like this, kids.
I'm going to have to start putting more pep in these intros, too. Hey, welcome to the Hog's Eye. It's your buddy Sean. Well,
I was thinking, I was talking on our blog with one of our regulars the other day about, because I'm a big radiophile, and I was talking about the Greaseman and how crazy out of, left field all his stuff was. And I was like, maybe we should start acting more like the Greaseman on our show. That would be, change it up a little.
Just go totally crazy with it.
I think it would have to be Sean, though. I don't think you and I have that in us.
Oh, I think...
And I know Jamal does.
I think you could do it.
Jamal wouldn't do... Jamal's not the Greaseman.
Jamal, I don't think would know who the Greaseman is.
Probably
He's so young.
Yeah.
I mean, Greaseman's before Sean's time, barely before my time.
I remember him. He was in the early 90s. I remember him.
Yeah, late 80s,
I'm just nodding
90s.
my head as if I know this reference. Yeah.
Is?
Oh, of course. The Greaseman, of course. Yeah, the Greaseman.
Waddle Doodle.
He was one of those, exactly like what you just did, Sean. That's what the Greaseman was.
Right.
Hey, everybody, that's the Greaseman. Oh, you're on 106.7.
He was early shock jock like Howard Stern, but even probably more racy.
More shot. He got kicked off the air a couple times, I think.
Like 10 times, yeah.
Anyway. We get pretty racy on this show, fellas. Yeah, I was going to say.
He out-Stern a few times, I think.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, we will leave it there before we get into any examples that'll get us into trouble talking about.
Right.
All right, well, we have some exciting stuff. Obviously, Alex been our man on the scene with the Redskins, but we've got some other little things to talk about first. So, first things first, Steve, we had a little Hall of Fame news this past weekend, did we not?
Yeah, I guess I'm the one that needs to do it because I'm the one that was around for all the Bobby Beathard year. Bobby Beathard was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this past Saturday night, which is a very good thing. Yeah, golf clap all around. It's for those of you who are too young like Sean to really know this, Bobby Beathard is the architect of the golden years. Gibbs was the coach. We all love Joe Gibbs. Mad love to Joe Gibbs. But the guy who brought all the players in is Bobby Beathard. Bobby is the guy who is he's at least equally responsible, put it that way. And it's been a long time coming. I noticed on out on Twitter and everything, a couple of you guys tweeted in that he didn't look very good health-wise. The reason why he doesn't look good now is he has Alzheimer's.
Right. Also, he's in his 80s.
He's 81 years old now, and he has Alzheimer's. So it's not the spry Bobby Beathard of an era gone by. It's very sad. I must admit, I'm ashamed to admit, I didn't realize that he had Alzheimer's until I started reading about this Hall of Fame.
It sounds like they've been kind of keeping it quiet. My family's dealt with Alzheimer's a lot. It's a hard disease to deal with.
Well, and if you watch the induction for him, how they did it was very smart. They had Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs was his presenter, but Joe led him out to the statue, and then he had pre-recorded a speech. So he didn't have to get up there with Alzheimer's and try to get through the speech properly. So they played the pre-recorded speech, and they had a little video package to go along with it, and then it came back live, and then they unveiled the statue, which I thought that was the way to go when you're dealing with that. But I think the Bobby Beathard induction went a little bit under the radar from a lot of Redskins fans, and it's not anybody's fault. I think it's just an age thing. Because like you, Sean, I mean, you know who he is, but you didn't live through it, because you're
right.
Right. But I just want people out there to understand how truly important Bobby Beathard really was to the golden era. We could have had Joe Gibbs all day long, and if without Bobby, none of those Super Bowls would have happened.
So let me ask you a question about the whole Beathard thing at the time, Steve, because I'm too young to really remember this. Now, even though I watched a few of those games, I was a kid. How front and center was Beathard in fans' minds at the time? I mean, it was a different era. I just don't know if fans were like, oh, we have this GM and he's great and look at him. Like today you see that with teams. The GMs are almost as important as the coaches in a lot of sports.
The household names more.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was a kid then too.
Right.
Understand.
But you were older than you have about 10 years on me, so
I wasn't covering the Redskins.
No.
Back then is my point. But Bobby Beathard was a guy even I knew as, a 12-year-old. He was a guy that was his name was a part of the calculus. The fans knew who he was. We all knew who Bobby Beathard was. We all knew how responsible he was. Even I, as a kid, knew about him. As far back as I can remember.
Right. But so if you had seen his picture in the paper, you would know exactly. Oh, that's Bob.
In a heartbeat. Yeah.
And that's what I just kind of wasn't sure about, because you see that now all the time with pro sports. But I just that was the pre-ESPN or early ESPN era.
See, there was a lot of drama between Jack Kent Cooke, Joe Gibbs, and Bobby Beathard.
Right.
We all love. God bless. Jack Kent Cooke. Rest in peace. He wasn't the exactly easiest owner. Out there to deal with. I think if we talk, we need to ask. We should have asked Rick about this last week. I just didn't think about it. But Mr. Cook was difficult. And Bobby Beathard was kind of the go-between between Gibbs and Cook. And if they needed to break a tie, Cook would break the tie. But Bobby truly was the guy. When Joe was here for a second go-around 10 years ago, Joe was the GM and picking the players and everything. That was back then. Joe was just the coach.
Right.
It wasn't this massive organization like he had before. It was him and a handful of guys as assistant coaches, and Bobby was giving them all the players and drafting all the players. It was very different than Gibbs 2 than we saw. And it really was a case of Bobby. We all thought back then Bobby was a personnel genius. Absolute genius.
Well, he was.
He was finding these guys. Like he found Joe Jacoby and and all these undrafted free agents, and we all thought Bobby Beathard is a freaking genius. And it was a really sad day when he left. He left in 1989. He went to the Chargers. He got the Chargers to another Super Bowl.
Right. Oh, wow. Right.
Really, really smart personnel guy. He's not a football guy at heart. He was like a swimmer in college. He was just a guy who learned football. I'm just so sad that he has Alzheimer's now. I mean, I hope he has a good life. I hope he was aware and sort of knew what was going on, just for his sake and the sake of his family. It was really good to see his wife there at the induction. She was cheering from the audience. That was really nice. So
that's great.
I just hope everybody out there who's too young to know just appreciate what Bobby Beathard was, because I can, from a guy who lived it, those 3 Lombardi trophies would not be in D.C. without him. There's no doubt.
Oh, absolutely not. And I will say, I saw his interview on the Hall of Fame game, which I don't think was taped. It looked like it was live. And,
I saw the little snippet they went to him.
Yeah. That, if he does have Alzheimer's, he at least seemed cognitive enough to be able to do that, talk about Darryl Green, talk about this, that kind of stuff.
I don't know how far along he is.
I think it can ebb and flow a little bit.
It definitely can.
People,
and as someone who's dealt with it on a personal level, yes. It can ebb and flow, and if he's in the early stages, it's going to be more of a, I can't forget, what's your name again, or that kind of thing,
Yeah. General confusion, sort of.
Yeah.
It's a...
From the GM standpoint, though, putting Alzheimer's aside, If anybody out there can think of a GM who got 2 separate franchises at the Super Bowls, let me know. Because he did it with the Redskins, and then he got the Chargers didn't win the game, but they got to the Super Bowl. I can't think of, at least straight off the top of my head, another GM who put together 2 separate Super Bowl teams.
I have a theory on one, but I'm not even sure if it did. Ron Wolf
maybe that was going through my head too.
Yeah.
Ron Wolf might be one.
Yeah, I don't know if he was a GM in 2 Super Bowl teams, but he was a damn good GM too. So
yeah. Oh, there's lots of good GMs, but
yeah.
Anyway, so Bobby Beathard, to answer your question, yes, we all knew who he was. Yes, we knew he was the genius behind the roster. Even I, as a kid, knew that. And the Redskins were just incredibly fortunate to have him. And the other thing Bobby did is Bobby was the guy who really brought Joe Gibbs in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was really young when this happened. I didn't really know. I was too young to know kind of the backstory of it. I just knew we had a coach. His name was Gibbs. But if you go back and read about it, and we need to ask Rick about this too. But anyway, Gibbs was a total unknown, basically.
Right.
You knew he was one of Eric Coryell's guys, but I don't think anybody thought it was a good hire back then.
Wolf, by the way, I just Googled it. Wolf he got the Raiders to a couple Super Bowls and the Packers.
Okay, so there you go. So Ron Wolf's another one. If anybody else out there thinks of another one, let me know. But for sure, the list is short.
Yeah.
Rare company.
Yeah.
Rare company.
It's just so hard to do once to be able to do it on multiple teams.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Bobby's in the Hall of Fame, and Ron Wolf's going to be in the Hall of Fame probably someday too, if he's not already.
I feel like he should be, but it seems like those front office guys are always slower to get in.
Yeah, there are. But my point here, to finish my other thought, was that Bobby is the one who's truly responsible for bringing Gibbs here to DC.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give him credit. Yes, Jack Kent Cooke signs a contract, but Bobby is the guy who brought him to DC.
That's
right.
Which is, a monumental moment in the franchise history.
Right, and he's talked about that in some of the interviews he's done recently. So at least at some level, he still, I think it's something that he remembers, which is great.
Oh, yeah, I don't think he's in an advanced stages of it. But quick, since we're on this topic, we brought up London Fletcher. I can't remember if it was off the air or on the air.
Off the air. It was just before we started.
So London's certainly a candidate for the Hall of Fame. But real quick, let's run through who we think is our Hall of Fame possible candidates, because other than Joe, obviously we all on the show advocate Joe, but we're kind of running out of guys. A lot of them have gotten inducted now. So who do we have we could possibly look forward to in the future that will at least get consideration? London Fletcher is one. We just decided off the air that next year is his first year of eligibility for consideration. So London's one. So who else?
That is not a long list. You got the guys like Joe, who now he's got to go through the senior committee or whatever.
And by the way, for those of you who haven't listened to that, we had Rick Goslin on a year
Windows
ago,
shutting.
a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah, about a year.
And Rick said that because we had a long bunch of Twitter questions about this too. Rick told us that the senior committee is a much harder road to hoe when it comes to induction. So it's not a good thing that he made it to the senior committee.
Unfortunately, I think that is what most of these guys are going to go through.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. After the golden years, it's a drought of Hall of Fame caliber talent.
Could Chris Samuels maybe?
That was what I was about to say. He can at least get consideration. He's certainly one. Clinton Portis may get a look. Clinton's numbers don't measure up. But
we've talked about that.
There's the old, if you don't break 10,000 yards thing, you're probably not getting in as a running back.
Yeah, Clinton needed another couple big-time years.
Right.
But, other than...
Bruce Allen. That was a joke for anybody at home. Total joke.
I hate to say this, but don't a lot of owners who don't merit getting in get in? Could Dan Snyder somehow get in?
Not without a Super Bowl or having some major NFL impact.
Okay.
Bob Kraft is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Jerry
I can
Jones
see that.
will probably be in the Hall of Fame.
I thought Jerry Jones already is.
Oh, that's right, he is. You're
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry. Although, with as much waves as Jerry's made, they might rip his butt out again before it's over.
True story.
Chris Samuels, real quick, 6 Pro Bowls. And so that's his resume in the NFL. There's no playoff, no playoff memories for his career.
That's the one problem.
Yeah, but 6 Pro Bowls is a lot of Pro Bowls. But really, Chris's problem also is he played in the same year as Jonathan Ogden.
Right.
He was never the best tackle in the NFL.
But he was easily the second best for his whole career.
Maybe. We'd have to go back and think. Okay, but point is, so there's one, Chris Samuels.
I mean, Brian Mitchell should be, but again, I think he would, first off, they're not going to do it because it's a special teams thing, and we know how they are about that. But I think he's also probably getting close to the eligibility thing already.
He's getting close. But, I mean, Brian, and, we love Brian, Redskin fan, all of that. But I think if Brian was going to get a sniff, it would have happened a long time ago. I mean, we would have at least seen him get into the semifinals and all that, and he's not even in the talk of it. So I don't think Brian's getting in.
It really is slim pickings when you're trying to think of who deserves it, who would get it.
Trent obviously will get consideration.
Right,
he's the other one. But gosh, beyond Trent and Chris,
that's going to be a long wait, too. It's going to be a while.
There might be guys who had a brief stay here that get in. Another Bruce Smith situation.
That's what I was trying to think of, too. Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson probably will, but he's not going to go in as a Redskin.
No.
Yeah.
I think Bruce Smith is already in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Well, no, I was just using that as an example. Like a guy who was a mercenary for us, not...
Yeah, like Deion Sanders.
Right.
McNabb was... he won't make it. He won't make it.
McNabb
he won't make it.
As an Eagle, first of all.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm just trying to think of people who were briefly
I don't
with
even
the team
think
that
he'll
we
get in. I mean,
me either. I think he's on the cusp, probably below it.
He might be in the Hall of Very Good.
Right.
Story of his whole career. That's sad.
Right.
Exactly
That's sad.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. That's kind of it.
Yeah, it comes up short in the fourth quarter.
Can we think of anybody else?
Honestly, no.
The entire show on this. I just wanted to go through.
Yeah.
Not really. Maybe that's a question that our listeners can source for us.
Anybody out there can think of anybody else who's worthy? We named Chris Samuels. We named Trent Williams. If anybody else, we named Brian Mitchell. Beyond
London
that,
Fletcher, we talked about.
London Fletcher. Throw some names out there if we have anybody else. If we've missed someone, if you think like Josh Laribas is going to be in the Hall of Fame, make your case. And we'll listen to it.
Jesse Armstead. I want someone to make a case for him.
I don't even think Mr. and Mrs. Armstead can make that case. He's a good player. He's a much better player than Josh.
He was a good player. Not great for us, but he was good for most of his career.
Ryan Kerrigan may be one someday. I mean, he would, that'd be
Jury's still out. Jury's still out on that one.
Yeah.
Well, so let's move on from Hall of Fame stuff then. So what happened in the world of our good old friend Kyshoen Jarrett this past week? Why is he popping up in headlines, Steve? I think you brought this up before the show started.
Yeah, I wanted to mention this because Kyshoen Jarrett was a guy we all know and love. He was a great player. He had the really, really bad nerve problems, which has forced him to retire or leave the NFL.
After his first year, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't retire. But we brought him up because he's actually a coaching intern for the Redskins now.
Very nice.
If for those of you who don't realize this, Kyshoen has always been around the franchise, even after he was not on the team. He works out with the team. He hangs out at practice sometimes.
Right.
He's a beloved figure still, amongst the Redskins Illuminati. So he's a coaching intern now, and I think that's great. And Jay Gruden said he's going to be a great coach. Someday if he wants to do it, we just need to make sure that that's what he wants. And so he's getting an opportunity. And so I think that's a really great thing for him. I hope it works out because that's a guy who had some bad luck.
I mean, I love the story because, Steve, you're one to remind us of this all the time. This is a business, and it can be a brutal business, a little bit heartless even. To see the team kind of giving this guy who he didn't even play a full season for you before he got hurt.
Right.
I mean,
but he looked like he had starter potential.
He had starter potential. He looked really, really good, especially for, what was he, a 6th-round pick or something?
Something like that, yeah.
To give a guy one more shot at something else, it strikes me as a class move, which we don't see enough of in the NFL.
Right. Speaking of other class moves, by the way, one other thing I know, I'm throwing a curveball at you here.
That's all right.
But D'Angelo Hall retired officially.
Oh, that's worth mentioning. Absolutely.
Yes. I wrote a post on it because D'Angelo was one of my favorite players in this era. We know his story. He's a Virginia kid, Redskin fan, childhood Redskin fan, elite athlete, sprinter, all of that. I mean, if you guys recall, he was a first-round draft pick of the Falcons. They traded him. He was a hothead back then, a ton of ego, very immature. They traded him to Oakland, and he lasted about 30 seconds in Oakland. They cut him, or released him rather. And he came home, to DC. I just love the story. It was looking bad for him. First round draft pick, going to be a bust, basically. And he comes home, and it's a transformation.
Yeah.
He went from immature hothead to venerable team leader in a few seasons.
Yeah.
A remarkably small period of time. And he ended up living up to his draft potential, multiple 3-time Pro Bowler, #1 corner, had battles with Des Bryant and all sorts of other people. I love D'Angelo's
used in a lot of different ways over his career.
Yeah, exactly. I love D'Angelo's story because he's a lesson for all of us to not judge somebody too harshly and too early.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I mean, in context of the Hall of Fame conversation, he's probably not Hall of Fame caliber or anything. But if you think about the Redskins, the big line of Redskins players, yeah, I mean, he was huge for this team in the long drought we've had. So few players I think had
Ring of Fame worthy.
Absolutely,
absolutely be in the Ring of Fame. Yeah.
And if you watch his press conference, he made a joke about that, Sean. Actually, about the Hall of Fame, he said, "If I'd played Jay Cutler a few more times, I might have been in the Hall of Fame."
Ouch! Yeah, I remember his 4 interception games against the Bears. I remember that.
He could have played Jay like twice a year. He might have had 50 interceptions instead of 26 or 23 as a Redskin.
Yeah, I think Kerrigan feels a similar way.
I hope he remains with the franchise in some capacity or another. At a very minimum, I hope we see him around and hanging around the team because I think he's the perfect type of veteran who the team needs to take care of.
Now, when he retired, I think he was the active interception leader or something like that, or maybe it was the year before.
What do you mean that? You mean
like
he
career
had 40
career interceptions or something along those lines, and no one else who was still an NFL player had that many.
Yeah, that might be true. I wouldn't swear to that, but that might be true.
Yeah,
I know he had
sounds familiar.
As a Redskin.
Yeah. He had a pretty good career even before the Redskins numbers wise.
Absolutely, and he did pretty well in Atlanta. It's just
it's the personality thing. He and I think I'm probably not alone in this. Not even on the show. When he first came here, I thought the Redskins were making a big mistake by getting a guy who, kind of a locker room problem.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why they were bringing
and I was wrong. I was 100% wrong at that assessment at first. He flipped it around.
Absolutely, and that's what I love the story so much. Because I don't know if it's maybe because he came home, maybe he was near family, maybe he just grew up, maybe it was some combination of all of that.
Realizing that this was probably your last shot.
Alex should have loved him. Alex, he was a local guy. Alex, you're obsessed with that.
Yeah, but
can't believe you didn't like that.
But it was a big mess. I mean, you have to remember. It was just a disaster in Oakland, and I just at the time was thinking, why are we bringing this guy? And oh my goodness, this is awful.
Yeah, one of these days, Sean, I'm going to get off my ass and put together the all DC, Maryland, Virginia team roster. And you'll see how good that team will be.
How beautiful it would be.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Make Kevin Durant somehow on that team. One way or another.
Tight end, Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
That dude is a toothpick. He can never play tight end.
All right, he would be a damn good wide receiver, though.
Maybe so.
With that height.
Make him an honorary coach, honorary captain or something.
I like it.
Mascot.
A mascot. That's not good. Let's not
no.
make him a mascot. He's better than that.
Yeah, he's earned more than that. Fair enough.
Anytime he's in DC, you see him at the Redskins games. He's basically a mascot, walking around in a Redskins jacket and all that.
Yes, I don't want to call him a mascot because he's a sensitive dude, and he might start tweeting about us calling him a mascot. So.
Yeah,
he may listen to the show. Need that. We don't know. He's a DC guy.
Yeah.
Keep dreaming, Steve. I love where your head's at, though.
If we see a weird Twitter handle we don't recognize tweeting about why are we calling Kevin Durant a mascot,
it might be Kevin Durant.
Yeah, it might be Kevin Durant.
All right.
Yeah. It's probably going to be me, most likely.
Because I think Sean secretly is a Twitter, a Twitter guy. He just won't admit it.
No.
Hey,
Sean pretends he's never on any social media.
I'm going to stop the show right here and be very, very clear about this. I don't use that nonsense. I don't rot my brain on that nonsense. Okay.
He spends all his time looking at hot girls on Instagram.
Exactly. I mean, that's the one thing I do. Look, none of us are perfect. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show here because we actually had eyes on the field with the Redskins in their facility, seeing what's going on. Alex, take us through the sights and sounds that you saw the last few days, my friend.
I'll take you through the sights, the sounds, and the smells.
The smells? No, actually, maybe leave the smells out, Alex. Leave the smells out of this.
You're talking about.
Well, I smelled a lot of Five Guys. When you're sitting there in the press room, there's a lot of fast food being eaten by local media.
I believe that.
Let's be clear about one thing. Media guys are not exactly health food nuts.
No. You gotta eat quick, and if you leave free food around, it might disappear. From what I've been told.
No, but that's actually interesting. So you walk in. So tell us what it's like to walk into that and see that.
Well, okay,
what's it like to be with the press?
I'm a fly on the wall guy. I walk in and I just kind of sit quietly in a corner, and I don't really want to bother these guys. They're all sitting there typing. The media room is not, jovial. It's, everyone's kind of just sitting at a desk, working on their story until the presser starts.
Well, see, they're not like a bunch of yahoos running a website.
No. They're not a bunch of idiots like us.
They got deadlines.
Guys like John Kahn get paid apparently to do it.
I'm sorry, they get what?
Paid? I don't know. Yeah.
You mean like with money?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Right.
That's an option. Wow.
Not for us apparently.
Continue. Yeah. Sorry. We didn't need to let the listeners into that depressing aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, but go get back.
So you walk in. You kind of just you can just kind of hang out for a little while. The one nice thing is it's air conditioned, and on a weekend like this, where it was in the mid-90s all weekend, that AC was welcomed.
I believe it.
I showed up there with I had a cameraman with me, my buddy Andy, who he's taking some pictures for us. Pro photographer, he's doing it for us pro bono, which was cool of him.
No, we paid him $2,000.
Well, we're gonna pay him with putting out his website and things like that.
What's his Instagram, Alex? Do you know?
I'd have to look it up.
It was something like I am a camera guy.
Yeah, something like I shoot shots or something. I can't. We'll find it.
Oh God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Well, we'll pimp it out. We'll push it out on
Twitter.
Yeah,
we're going to give it a push.
We got your back
especially
for
once we get the photos. So
absolutely.
he and I kind of, rather than me just sitting there like I usually do, we walked around getting pictures of the fans, getting pictures of the cheerleaders and the bands.
And you can just walk kind of free reign almost around the field, right?
You can't go onto the field itself, but you can walk along the sidelines of the field unobstructed, which is nice.
This is one of the jerks that's causing the fans to not be able to see.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I got yelled at by a lot of people because I'm not a tiny guy. And I don't bring a stool to sit on like the guys who do it every day.
See, Rick Snyder told us to bring a stool.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't want to spend another $20 on a stool.
Training camp 2019, we'll get you a branded stool.
Yeah. Okay,
Promise.
Done.
Hopefully we'll be able to afford a stool by then.
So, all right, so we got, it was Fan Appreciation Day. The first day I was there Saturday. Standard stuff. Unfortunately, this is like the fourth Fan Appreciation Day I've been to, so I'm kind of just used to it. Massive crowds. They do the whole, here's the band playing the song, here's the cheerleaders doing the cheerleader thing. They go along and sign for, fans, sign autographs, and, just your normal stuff that goes on there. They have a hype man who hypes it up. It's usually Larry Michael, or somebody like that, someone from the radio station.
Get Rev T out there to do that.
Yeah, well, I think they want someone who can go, long enough without cursing or,
He's got to be wholesome.
Yeah.
That's Larry Michael.
Love for Rev T.
Yeah, I know. But, you got to keep it clean. It's a family event.
That's true.
Right. So
you went to Trent Williams' press conference. Do you have anything?
Yeah, that was today. Trent Williams' press conference was good. He says
it wasn't today. It was Sunday when you did it because,
well,
this is released on Monday.
Sure. Okay, so it was Sunday. He said his knee is feeling better. He's starting to work out and do reps, which is a good thing. Doesn't seem sure if he'll play in Thursday's game.
Couldn't care less.
I think they're trying to be cautious.
Please don't.
Yeah, please don't, my friend.
Yeah.
I agree.
There was some stuff about him, getting some tooth work done, which the team really didn't want that talked about as much as it was.
Was
but
he getting a cavity filled or something?
No, like getting veneers or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a whole they spent 5 minutes going back and forth with him on it. It was very odd.
Why was he doing that now? I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I mean, he's got money.
We have all offseason to do that, though.
Steve, if you had $100 million, wouldn't you get like some nice new veneers or something?
If I had $100 million, I would carve my name in my teeth in diamonds.
Exactly. I'm with you.
Well, I don't want to give any of these, athletes any ideas with that, because some of these guys might actually do.
Don't do that. That's a terrible idea.
That's a it's like the gold-plated teeth thing. I don't get it.
But no, that doesn't surprise me at all. By the way, that DC media would be going back and forth about veneers for Trent Williams. I mean, come on, when you're sitting there in that room and they're talking about that, what are you thinking?
I'm just like plain Ox why we can never get any questions in on these pressers, even though we go to a lot of them.
I mean, one of the reasons is they tend to keep the mic to the guys up front, and I'm not.
I'm sure there's a seniority aspect.
Right. There's a bit of a seniority thing, and also I'm just, asking a question in that setting is not what I'm comfortable with, so I'm not going to go out of my way for it.
Go fight Rich Chandler for the microphone.
Yeah, kind of, or JP Finley. I could probably take Rich Chandler. I don't know about JP Finley. He's in better shape. and Rich Chandler, I have 20 years on, so I could probably.
My point was out there, guys, is if you're asking us to ask questions, it's actually tough because
in those situations, I don't. I'm much more of a one-on-one. Go find a player and talk to him one-on-one kind of guy, which is why I got a couple one-on-one interviews the first day. I would rather go and say, "Hey, Quentin Dunbar, what's up?"
We'll start with Quentin Dunbar. Talk to us about Quentin Dunbar.
Tell us about that.
Dunbar, good dude. If you hadn't listened to the audio, he when I first went up to get Ram for an interview, he's like, "Yeah, give me 1 second. I gotta finish signing autographs." Even though he was at the area in the line, and he proceeded to pull off his jersey, hand that to a kid. He pulled off both his cleats and handed those to kids. So
awesome.
I'm doing the interview with him. He's got no shirt, no shoes.
Very cool. Literally give you the shirt off his back kind of guy.
And the fact that he gave like a couple 5 or 10-year-old kids his cleats, that's kind of neat too. You don't see that often.
That kid is going to keep those cleats for the rest of his life.
Cleat. One kid got one cleat, one kid got another cleat.
Okay. Well, those kids
single
are
cleat.
Keep those cleats in that jersey.
Yeah.
That is going to be a memento for the rest of their
life. Of course. If I'd been a kid and I got in a jersey, I would do the same thing.
You should have asked for his shorts, man.
I don't want to know if he's wearing a jock strap or not. Exactly. So that's not going to happen.
Well, what kind of earth did he drop? Any earth-shattering information?
He didn't drop anything earth-shattering. You can listen to just about everything we talked about in the interview. I really was kind of curious to see, what does he think about the whole development process that he's gone through. I mean, we're talking about a guy who went from probably the 90th guy on the roster when he first came here, having to switch positions, and now he arguably's got a shot to start. I think he should. I think he should be the number 2 guy. Right now they're going with, what's his name, the former Cowboy, Skandrick?
Skandrick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like he's,
so this
the favorite.
News here? So you're saying your observations from the 4th and the 5th, or you saw Skandrick starting?
I think that's where they're at in preseason. Okay. Just from what I've heard other people say, like other guys who were beat writers and stuff, saying that he's been getting more playing time. But I've always liked Dunbar more. I asked him a little bit about the playing physical versus, the other style of corners, and, he kind of prides himself on being that physical cornerback, which I think is, teams need that. You need somebody who can go toe-to-toe with some of these bigger receivers, and he's definitely not afraid to do it.
The thing about Dunbar is I think he's really, truly more of an outside corner.
I do, too.
His body type and everything. He's got a lot of straight-line speed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's kind of his spot, and so, I think you may, and I said this several times, I don't think Skandrick's a very good slot guy anymore either. So
no, I think what you do with a guy like Dunbar, and I think you play matchup with him. Whoever the biggest receiver on the offense is, you say, Dunbar, you get this guy because you're our biggest corner, so it just makes sense to put you on their bigger receivers.
The Redskins don't tend to not do that with.
Yeah, but they should because it's probably smart.
They just don't have these corners travel very much. So
no, they don't, and I don't get that. I've never understood that. I think you got to play guys to their strengths.
Well, can I ask you this, because I have also been reading the notes from camp and the various reports, and it sounds like there's just a lot of mixing up reps. There's a lot of people playing together. There's a lot of combinations. Based on your observations, do you think we can really even say with any certainty what exactly the starting team is going to look like going into the season?
I don't think you can say that for any team other than a few guys. And you're like, okay, Trent Williams is penciled in as your starting tackle. Unless he's hurt.
That's not breaking news.
Right. But I think,
but no, I mean, some teams though, you kind of know their roster is sort of set.
Yeah, I mean, we're too early in camp to really see how the camp battles are going to shake out.
I mean, I bet you if you sat down with the roster, you could figure out 40 guys who are definitely going to make it. Like I don't think that would be very hard. And then it's the final 13 spots or so that. Well, maybe this guy will, maybe that guy will. That's when it's about special teams and, who surprises you.
By the way, we're probably going to do some version of that in some way, shape, or fashion before the season starts.
Right. Oh, yeah, I think so.
But we'll do it.
We'll probably not do that till after a couple preseason games where we've seen these guys.
We can't do it off the top of our heads right now.
No. But so Dunbar. Really good guy, very humble. I think he realizes. I think guys like that who have had to come up and they weren't first round picks, nothing's handed to them. I always like those guys a lot because they're humbled by the fact that they're having to grind.
Yeah, exactly.
So some other observations that I had. Settle is imposing.
Nice
and. You can't. I think the Redskins he might be the bigger steal of the draft for them. Bigger than Geis even.
Hot take.
He was taking
there,
two or three guys on at a time, and other reporters have said this repeatedly. He is a hard man to match up with. He is constantly getting in the backfield. He might not always get to the running back, but I don't remember seeing many plays where he wasn't in the backfield. At the end of the play.
He's disruptive.
He's very
think
disruptive.
about it, guys. A nose tackle.
Yeah.
We could have one, guys.
A disruptive nose tackle. What's
Holy crap.
Yeah. So
don't get us excited, Alex.
I really liked what I saw from him. Let's see, what other notes did I
but while you're talking, I think one sort of common thread between Alex's observations and others is that the defensive line continues to improve. If you're looking for sort of big picture takes, I think that's one of mine. It looks like Jonathan Allen has been a force consistently in the first week. Tim Settle, as Alex said, and then we have a guy like Matt Ioannidis who's proven. Daron Payne is out, unfortunately. It's a real shame that he's going to be out for the bulk of training camp.
But he's been very active. I saw somebody, might have been John Keim, writing about that he's been on the sidelines watching with the coaches. So he's not one of those guys who gets hurt and just sits in the hot tub or something.
Well, yeah, and you can't film injured players rehabbing, by the way.
No, of course not. But if you see him out there, you can say, "Hey, he's out there." Okay, so other notes. Christian, the tackle we took.
Jaron Christian, 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
Is it Jaron or is it Jaron? Let's get this right now, guys.
I think it's Jaron. I think Steve got it right. Jaron Christian Sr. He has senior on his jersey, too.
Very nice. I love that.
I really like what I saw out of him. I don't know how you can get him on the field, but he reminds me a little bit of what you see in Ty Nsekhe, where he's just very physical, even in practices. So, I think we have such a glut at tackle. We probably have 4 guys who could probably be starting at some level or another. Maybe not, Pro Bowlers, but decent starters. And I don't know what you do with that situation.
Well, that was why it was sort of a question mark in my mind, is why we drafted him. But,
right.
Look, I mean, we got, as we know, we don't need to rehash the injuries. We got horribly beat up. Is it beyond comprehension that Jaron Christian finds his way on the field this year?
Probably not. Probably not impossible. So, yeah, but he really impressed me. I was trying to watch some of these guards because, you probably saw the news that Sean Laval has a sprain. I think it was an ankle sprain.
Color me shocked.
Yeah. So I was trying to watch some of the other guards, and no one really stood out to me. So I really think they need to press one of these better tackles into some service.
Did you see Tim Settle standing over a guard, laying on his back in victory?
No, I saw that from Ryan Anderson, though.
Okay.
The Redskins, all right, so they're doing a lot of run plays in practice, and they were doing some.
Well, they've got to.
Yeah,
you need
have
it
to
on
practice
offense and
them,
defense.
Right.
Exactly.
So one of the plays was, I want to say it was Chris Thompson running it, but it was, pull the left guard, kind of, standard things we've seen. Anderson got in the backfield, and he hit that left guard and knocked him straight back on, rolling onto his head, and then just, it was one of the hardest hits I've seen in a practice.
I saw your tweet. You said his tweet. It was in your post. I mean, I think maybe it's in Alex's column, which is on our website.
He knocked him on his ass.
Went feet overhead.
I think that's what he called it. Yep.
Not head over heels, feet overhead.
Right. He also was playing pretty physical. He had a good hit on one of the wide receivers. I think it was Cobb or
Semi-Cobb.
Yeah, I think it was Cobb. I'm not 100% sure. I wrote it down in a tweet, and I don't remember what I tweeted at this point.
Well, I mean, Preston Smith is a guy who has something to prove, right? He's coming to
Ryan Anderson
contract. Oh, Ryan. Okay, Ryan Anderson has something to prove too. I mean, Ryan Anderson did not impress many last year. I think he has a lack of athleticism that is part of the reason why he's not that impressive.
Right.
He needs to be Joe Run Stopper.
Right.
That's what he needs to be. Joe Physical, Joe Run Stopper.
Well, if he can if he can get in the backfield and get to a left guard before he really sets up his block, that'll help stop a couple runs.
Of course, it doesn't help that if Laval was out.
Right.
Our left guards leave something to be desired.
Yeah, that is part of the issue.
Yeah. What about running game, Alex?
Running game, I would say, okay, so there was obviously, like I said, a lot of run practice. Very weird to see the Redskins using a lot of I-form kind of two-back looks.
Let's stop right there.
We don't see a lot of that.
That is big news, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the Redskins running two-back sets.
Right.
I mean, they just don't do that very much. I mean, how often did you see him in the eye? Maybe this is a sign that our run game is going to be a wee bit different.
Okay, so it was done in a lot of situational stuff. I think they were doing a lot of short yardage type plays, practicing those. And I would have to look up the guy's name. I can remember the jersey number, but I think we only have one fullback on the roster anyway.
Elijah Wellman.
That's it. Elijah Wellman, number 38. They were using him on a lot of these sets. They occasionally even try to hand off with him, I think, just to practice it, because why not, just in case. But yeah, they were using him a lot in goal line kind of situations, short yardage situations.
Fantastic. This is like Jay Gruden way back. If you think before he was a Redskin, he was a two-back run set kind of guy. He often ran with multiple running backs and used multiple tools in the backfield, often for the Bengals. So that sounds like a return maybe to what we'd be expecting from Jay Gruden.
And when he first got here, he was like, I'd like to use two tight ends more. But it's clearly not worked for the running game.
Well, exactly. I think he was limited too with tools he had here.
Yeah,
the dream of Elijah Wellman lives on.
What? Right.
Yeah, that's the kind of weird
I don't
part
know
about
if he'll end up getting on the roster, but they're working out a lot with that kind of idea. So I like seeing that, and they did pretty well using a fullback in practice. But in general, I'd say the defense stopped the running backs more than the running backs, won from what I saw.
What do you have to say about Darius?
Guys, okay, I'll say this. When he gets lane and when he gets open with the ball, the speed is impressive. There was one play today where McCoy, it was a pass actually.
Monday or today's Sunday?
Today's Sunday. Again, Sunday. People know, Steve. People know.
We're doing this live. What are you talking about? This is broadcast live.
So there was one play where McCoy flipped the ball over the head of a jumping linebacker who was supposed to be covering Geis. So Geis got the ball, no one around him, and the speed at which he got 15, 20 yards upfield, you could barely, conceptualize it as you saw it happening.
Awesome.
He turns and he flies.
It's interesting you say this because, put Chris Thompson aside because he's third down back. We've got a bunch of big plotters.
Right.
Regardless of whether you're a Samaje Perine fan, you're a Rob Kelly fan, they're both kind of plotters.
Right.
They're nothing special.
Perine still is.
Yeah. sad.
Well, we've heard Rob Kelly is in better shape and is faster and slimmer. Did you get any?
Yeah,
Rob
I mean, those reports are definitely true. I mean, I don't know what I can say other than he looks slimmer, he looks quicker.
I think he cut off 10 pounds of hair. I mean, his dreadlocks are gone.
Yeah. I always have to do a double take and be like, who is that again? Because remember, he also changed jersey numbers last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like he's wearing number 20 now. It's like, wait, is that? Okay, yeah. No long hair, different number.
Jay Gruden said about the running backs that he doesn't foresee carrying 5. He
right.
said that in, I think, yesterday's presser maybe.
Oh, how many teams do?
No, that's my point. I mean, we have a lot of running backs. Don't forget Capri Bibbs that last year at least showed that he belongs in the conversation at a minimum, right? And Byron Marshall.
Very end of the year,
around,
that's right.
Martez Carter's hanging around.
Right. Although Carter, I think Gruden also said yesterday, it might have been or Saturday, he said Carter's probably like the number 6 guy right now. So.
I don't doubt it. I mean, why would he? Yeah, don't doubt it.
Yeah, and I think Steve, you and I both were kind of high on him. I don't think he gets in.
No, huh?
No.
Well, I mean, I think I was higher on him on the air than I was when I wrote the piece about him.
Sure. But I think that he might be a practice squad candidate. I don't think he's a starter, or I don't think he makes the roster.
And that's fine for now.
Right.
But if we project a little bit, obviously Geis makes the team.
Right.
Obviously Chris Thompson's on the team, so that really leaves 2 backs at most.
Right.
They're really going to keep Samaje Perine and Rob Kelly. I mean, both. That would be Geis, Perine, Kelly, Thompson. They could, I suppose.
And I mean, my thing is, if they really are serious about running with the fullback more, then that's one spot. You have to take that into account.
I mean,
that's right.
I think obviously Wellman's got a ton to prove, and we're not
right.
in any way saying he's going to.
No. But I'm just saying, if that's the direction you want to go as a team, because that's an identity thing. It's not just it's a raw. It's this guy might not be the most talented. We're going to be a running team. You need to have that position. It's that simple. He might not be the 53rd best player, but he'll make it.
I mean, I think for sure Byron Marshall and Capri Bibbs, are behind the power, and Martez Carter behind the power curve, have a lot to prove. But I know a lot of you out there think it's. I don't know. A lot of you out there think it's maybe difficult to believe that they're going to keep Kelly and Perine both. We'll see. I mean, I just gave you a scenario where they could.
Right.
Guys, Perine, Kelly, Thompson.
But if they only keep 3 true running backs and a fullback, I'm going to pick Kelly over Perine right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how it goes in the preseason games.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, everything that I want Perine to be able to do, guys can do. He can do the power game. Like he can get you that 1 yard. So that's what's going to make it tough.
We're all hoping Geis is going to be the next, big time Redskins running back.
Sure.
That's obviously what this whole thing is going to depend on. Can we say that?
Yes.
Whether or not this running game improves, it's going to be mostly whether or not Geis pans out.
Yeah.
And he is the pick that we think he is.
Yeah.
That's going to make the difference.
Yeah. I talked this about, before we run out of time with this, Alex Smith. What did you see in Alex Smith?
Okay, so day one, I thought not just Smith, but all the quarterbacks were kind of off. There were a lot of picks thrown. I know Norman had one. I think Fish Smithson had one. There was one day 2 off a tip pass, I believe. But yeah, I mean, so the first day they were not great to begin with. They got better towards the end of practice. Smith started hitting guys on slant routes a bit more, going to Fred Davis a lot, and you would think that it's been what?
He went to who?
I'm sorry, not Fred Davis. Vernon Davis. I'm going to do that a lot because
Fred Davis.
Yeah.
Fred
Davis.
So
names from the past. Fred, good old Fred.
Yeah, but I feel like you're going to see a lot of Smith to Vernon Davis because it's funny to think they haven't played together for probably 6-7 years now, but they still have a rapport.
It's like riding a bike.
Like they're brothers or something.
Yeah,
the way they talk.
They do, and on the field it still seems to be that way. The thing that impresses me about Smith, his ability to move in the pocket. Like having watched Kirk the past couple seasons, he wasn't like a statue, but Smith is just so much better at rolling out and those little things that, in terms of pocket awareness.
Right there. That opens up the playbook.
It does.
In
Definitely
ways
does.
that we didn't have with Kirk.
Even though Jay is a drop back passer kind of coach, he'll use a guy's tools.
Yeah, Jay's also smart enough to take advantage, and I think we're going to see a lot more of the RPOs. You may see a lot more rollouts, than we did with than we did with Kirk.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be aspects of the playbook that are going to open up in Jay's offense that they really couldn't do with Kirk back there.
I agree, and I was pretty impressed by that aspect of his game. That I would see them run a play action, and I'm just watching as a layman, and my eyes are still tracking with the running back. Then I see Smith jet out.
You're a credentialed meteorologist, you're not a layman.
Well, okay, as a not NFL player,
Fair enough.
So I'm still watching the running back, and then I see Smith is already like 5 yards outside the pocket with the ball, dumping it off to just some. It doesn't matter who it would. It'd be Paul Richardson, Crowder, But yeah, so the second day Smith was really on point. I'll say that. He hit Davis for a 30-yard touchdown on his first pass in 11-on-11.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. And that wasn't Vernon, but the other Davis, Robert.
Speaking of receivers, by the way, we had someone DM us asking about Shea Fields. Did you have any Shea Fields?
I don't even know what number Shea Fields wears. So I'm not even going to say.
So the observation was Shea Fields had no observable.
Had no major impact.
No. In terms of receivers, Crowder was out Sunday. He was resting. But obviously, Doxson's been injured.
Let's talk about Doxson.
Yeah. There's that whole foot draining thing that they're arguing about.
Because Brian Mitchell tweeted at us directly about this.
Yeah.
Because there's some controversy about this. Brian Mitchell reported that Josh Doxson had his heel drained, which struck me as very odd.
Right.
I've never heard of a heel being drained.
Drained of
if fluid's building up, fluid can build up anywhere, Steve.
Yeah.
You can milk anything with nipples.
It could have been a blister,
right.
I suppose. But Brian tweeted at us directly and said, it's not a big deal. It was a nothing thing. Jay, in his press conference, didn't know what they were talking about.
Right. He said it didn't happen.
Yeah, so whether Brian's right or Jay's right, either way, it's a non-event. That's
okay, it's another non-event, Steve, but it's just another weird Doxson thing. Why is this guy a magnet for weird Steve?
Well,
at least he's not falling through like a plate glass door and cutting his hand like a baseball player.
Table falling on him.
It's one of my continuing gripes with the Redskins. They don't care about injury history, and it seems like they don't care that Sean Laval's never played 16 games. Why is he still here? Because he's okay.
He's still here because we need
a guard. He's good when he's healthy. Okay, fine, but that's 4 games. We've seen this story a million times with a million players here. They just don't. The Skins don't seem to worry about that much.
Heck, Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
I noticed you tweeted about Martez Carter returning punts.
Yeah, I saw him returning punts. He dropped one. I will say I saw him get his hands on one punt, and his ability to get around guys and get into an open space on the sidelines was pretty impressive. His raw speed is impressive. I don't think he's. I think you need to put him on the practice squad for a year, kind of develop him if you're going to do anything with him.
I brought this up for a reason.
Yeah.
Because Brian Mitchell knows this. For those of you out there, he was on our show, and he knows who we are, and we occasionally hear from him via Twitter and for stuff. And Brian scolded me about Martez Carter and said Martez Carter is not a punter or not a punt returner, to which I said, could they just be giving him a tryout? And he said, no, I'm telling you what I saw and what I know. And Brian apparently had him at the NFLPA game, back in the offseason, said the man is not a punt returner. So that's Brian Mitchell's opinion. He knows about 52,000 more more
interesting
more than we do about special teams. So, if Brian is right, and we certainly bowed his expertise, Martez Carter maybe is a kickoff returner, but not a punt returner.
Yeah,
and I've heard that from Mark Tyler, our buddy at Logs Haven, said the same thing. So,
well, if you look at his history, I think most of his stats would say the same thing too.
I know what it is. He did 92 kickoff returns. I think it was 26 punt returns.
Right.
In college.
Right. So, but
Mark has Carter kickoff return stats, Steve? You're a sociopath.
I wrote like 2,200 words on him. It's on our website.
Yeah.
Freak of nature.
I'm glad to read what I write, Sean.
You really think I'm going to read Carter's long analysis, Steve? Come on.
2,200 words on an undrafted free agent running back.
I mean, I love you, and I love that you do it, Steve, but there's only so many hours in the day, my friend.
So some last thoughts on the receiving game, just to finish up.
Yes.
Simi Cobbs, in one-on-one situations, when they're doing some red zone passing drills, I don't see anybody beating him. He's just got too much size for a lot of these corners, and pretty good hands
size
too.
In the core.
I don't know if he'll make the roster on that alone, but it's worth noting.
Good point.
Right. And Steve, you've mentioned Paul Richardson's drop ratio. I mean, I don't want to alarm anybody, but I saw things hitting him right in the chest and popping out.
Well, and for the record, I didn't mention drop ratio. What I said was that
he drops passes.
He drops a lot of balls.
Yeah.
I didn't do the numbers on him.
Okay.
So I watched him drop balls that hit him dead in the hands, and he dropped it.
Right.
He catches him in the red zone. That's all I can say. He gets him in that red zone, folks.
One thing we did notice about Richardson is he doesn't have Deshaun Jackson's speed, but
he's got good speed.
He's quick.
Yeah.
He's quick.
It's safe to say he showed his speed.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you said you observed him dropping some balls.
I saw him drop some things, but at the same time, I also saw him make an amazing little sliding to the ground catch at one point over the middle, and he was probably on his knees going down before the ball even touched him, and he caught it.
He's a play-by-play kind of guy.
It's a give and take situation. I don't want to be alarmist about it, but I think it is going to drive some people nuts here.
Hey, we'll see soon enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else do you have from camp before we get into this little preview we got?
Yeah.
Any other final observations?
Looking over, no, not really. I think we've covered most of it.
All right. So, do we want to go ahead and venture predictions then for our first actual game of the season, folks? We have football to talk about. Actually, we don't yet, but we will next time we talk to these folks.
Hey, the next time we talk, the
Thursday is the game.
Will have been played.
Right.
Yeah,
will have been played.
We have a game Thursday night. I think it's safe to say we have no reason to believe that we're going to see the starters for any more than a couple series, as is Jay's history since he's been here.
Well,
I can't imagine Tom Terrific is going to play much in that game either. It's going to be a battle of the backups.
But take us through those first 4 plays that we're going to see Alex Smith and guys for.
I think here's what we need to – I don't know what plays are going to call. I mean, who knows. But I think what I would like to see out of this team, we want to see a team that looks like it knows what it's doing.
Sure.
We've always started slow. We've had some horrendous preseasons. We want to see the offense come out, move the ball, look like a competent offense to start off. In the first couple series where the starters played, that's what I want to see. I don't really care who wins, particularly. I don't want to see the guys play well, but if we outscore the Patriots in the fourth quarter, great.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. But I really want to see the offense look good, and I want to see. I don't want to see Tom Terrific pick apart our defense. That's it.
Agreed.
Yeah, that'll be I think that's the bigger one to watch for in this game is how our defense matches up against the Patriots' offense. I do think that Gruden might keep these guys out a little longer than we've seen in the first games, just because. I'm sure you guys have heard this, and I saw it firsthand. Practices are way more physical than they have been. So I'm wondering if they're trying to take it a little more seriously, and maybe that'll result in some harder play.
It's good that you say that, because I didn't get the sense that was the case last week.
No.
And if you're seeing that this week, that's a good thing. Maybe the tempo, the intensity is being ramped up, and that can only be good.
Well, I mean, it's really when you see these run practices, you see them actually taking the backs to the ground from time to time.
Yeah.
Instead of, he's through, that's that.
Right.
Right. All right. Look, here's all that I need to see, guys. I want to see. Okay, let me actually take this a different way. Here's what I definitely don't want to see. I don't want to see the team trot out there. Alex Smith hands the ball off. Guys runs to the side, gets a few yards, called back for holding. We start backing up. In other words, I don't want to see the team actually able to get yards because we've been able to do that. But then it gets completely undone by sloppiness, mistakes, lack of discipline. I think that's kind of partially what you're even referring to, Stephen, a little bit. Just look like you know what you're doing and you're competent.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's all it is. I don't need much, and I actually think that they're going to go out there for a very short amount of time, no matter what. I don't think it's going to be long. I think if they go out there and it looks real bad, we'll probably see more of them in week 2 or 3, more likely. We'll see more of the starters, but I think it's just going to be short. It's going to be quick, and God, just don't make any stupid penalties or mistakes that undoes all the good. That's all I'm asking.
One thing to look for, I think, is the officiating, because this new helmet rule is come on, and if you watch the Hall of Fame game, they were calling the Hall of Fame game that was this past Thursday. It was the Ravens and Bears.
Right.
They called that 3 or 4 times. And so look for the refs to be more strict in the preseason about this probably than they are in the regular season. So that's something to watch out for, and watch how the players, including the running backs, because running backs drop your head.
Right.
Just watch for that and see how the game has changed a little bit.
Now, to be fair, the refs are also going to be heavy-handed right around now because of it's preseason.
I'm not criticizing them for it. That's just the way it is. Yeah.
But historically, we've also seen that refs. It's like they're going to emphasize this, so get used to it in preseason.
And by the time we get to week 17, it's like no flags are being thrown.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
Guys fighting, throwing down. At
Yeah.
50-yard line.
Yeah. Someone's running around with a severed limb and nothing.
That's fine.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's do this. Tell me, what do you think's the first play we're going to see Redskins offense? Hand off to Geis, pass from Smith. What do you think?
I'm going to say it's hand off to Rob Kelly.
Oh, all right.
I'm going to say play action Smith to Reed.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I hope you're right, Alex.
I'm going to go for my depressing prediction of handoff to Geis that gets called back immediately for holding. It's a sad one, but I'm going for that. I'm going for that one. Yeah. Hey, someone's got to do it. All right, any last thoughts before we let people go?
You want to do a game prediction? I don't know if that's that.
No, we don't do that for preseason.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it could be anything. It could be a bonkers score. Who knows?
Apparently, our buddy Rick is mad that I have a hat from the podcast and he doesn't.
Well, that's his fault. He got to get a hat.
Rick Rogers of IJB fan. It's just business.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Well, he needs to buy himself a hat.
Yeah.
What, is there a hat tree we can go pluck him off of and send it to everybody?
We have this merchandise sitting around in our house.
Yeah,
we don't.
Do I look like I have hat money?
Yeah, they're made on demand by children in China. I'm pretty sure.
We don't have merchandise sitting around. It is made on demand. If you want a hat, you will have to order a hat.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a great plug. Get on the hawkstide.com. We've got a new store in the last few months. Actually, I don't know when exactly went live, but it's possible last time.
When they shut down the old store because they didn't like one of my T-shirts I made.
That's right. Yeah. It's always something.
Copyright dispute over them.
Yes.
Or a trademark dispute over.
Right.
And I think it's safe to say we've done an absolutely miserable job of plugging the T-shirts.
Oh,
yes.
And merchandise. So please go check it out and take a look. The offending shirt was was Alex's rendition of RFK Stadium.
Right. A hand done rendering of RFK that they were like, oh, that's a picture of FedEx, but you can't. And I said, it's not FedEx. First off, that's an insult.
Yeah, how dare you?
They made me go dig through the Patent and Trademark Office records and prove them wrong, and they didn't care.
Nope.
That's just sad. Well, that's just another sign that we're at the big time, guys, that we have these conflicts with people. This is like moving on up.
Behind the curtain. If you guys knew, we get copyright stuff from time to time. We get in fights with T-shirt companies.
Right.
So help us out with all that and buy some stuff.
Right.
There you go.
And
Support the Hawkseye.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Even if you listen to us on SoundCloud, please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Everywhere that we're at, if you can give us a little bit of love there, that goes
subscribe,
a long
leave
way.
good ratings, leave positive postings. Yeah. Don't go on our website and blog at late night because that's when all the crazies come out. And yes,
if you're going to go on there, don't talk politics.
Yeah,
I'm tired of politics.
Yeah. Although they're talking woodworking now a lot on there, which I like.
Yeah. You can't really ever predict what the hawkstide.com is going to be doing at any given time.
If you want to be entertained
in
a brutally frank fashion, that's probably the place to go.
Right.
That much we can say. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. We'll let you get back to your weeks. Have a great one. Enjoy this game that we've got coming up this week, and come on back next weekend to hear us talk about it. We can't wait till then. We'll see you.
Later.